Our home had a huge exterior makeover last summer, and one thing I hadn't completed was putting up house numbers. I am going to show you today how I made DIY house numbers from all leftover materials I already had at home. Hi everyone, it's Melissa from Welcome to the Woods here. As you can see, the options for fonts when you're making your own house numbers are endless. I wanted something modern and simplistic. I did consider buying house numbers like what I had in mind, but 8-inch numbers in a black finish and modern font came in at more than $100. So finally, I decided I'd have to make something custom with my own hands. I chose a custom font from the website 1001fonts.com. I'll link it in the description. The font was called Carinati. I think I said that right. And I brought that font into a Pages document. I did this so I could reference it with a ruler. I enlarged the number until it measured 8 inches and then traced it onto a plain sheet of paper. I often use my laptop as a light table like this. You just have to be careful not to press down hard on the screen. Once I have my numbers traced, I cut them out of paper to create a template. Now I'll trace my paper number template onto some 1/2-inch thick plywood. You might recognize this piece of plywood from my color block clock I made a few months ago. Long story short, I didn't like how the clock was working for us. I decided I'd rather have house numbers from the plywood instead. So for this project, I'll be using my scroll saw again to precisely cut out the numbers. You could also cut out numbers with a jigsaw or bandsaw, but the scroll saw definitely provides the most control and accuracy. I wanted to show how to cut the middle out of the 0 as well. I drilled a hole inside the 0 near the edge of where I wanted to cut. Then I disassembled the blade from my scroll saw to stick the blade through the hole. While the blade was through the hole, I carefully connected it to its slot on the scroll saw, and then I got back to work. This allowed me to make a hole without a cut line through my number. It's the same method that was used to make my hanging modern planters that I shared last year. Finally, after a lot of tedious, careful scroll saw work, I had my 3 numbers, 7, 1, 0. After sanding with a fine grit sandpaper, the numbers looked awesome. I painted them black, and voila! No one would ever guess these weren't metal house numbers. Okay, so now I'm going to make a sign to put the numbers on. After a lot of back and forth, I decided to hang the numbers horizontally instead of vertically on my sign. Comment below if you were part of the close voting polls on my Instagram stories. Eventually, the majority of voters picked horizontal, so I went ahead and I cut my piece of 1x10 lumber to size. You can see here how I got a perfect straight edge by using a square and setting up straight boards with clamps for my circular saw to run against. I used these same straight boards, they're 1x2s, that I had in my leftover stock to make a top and bottom border. They were cut to size, about 26 inches long, and painted black as well. The paint I'm using is that super durable indoor-outdoor enamel paint that I just redid my stairway with. Next, I sanded the main board for the sign with a fine grit sandpaper to remove blemishes and make it beautiful. Then I waxed it with Minwax Natural Paste to bring out the beautiful wood color and protect it outside. To attach the black 1x2s to the sign, I'm going to be using dowels and wood glue. I marked the edge of the black 1x2 with a dot of white paint and then stuck it against the sign where I wanted everything to line up. This marked where I should drill holes for my dowels. I drilled holes that were slightly smaller than 1/4 inch in diameter for everything to match up. Before assembly, I installed a hanging wire along the back of the sign with screw eyes. Finally, it was time to put all the pieces together. I brushed my favorite wood glue on both the edges where my dowel will go using a paintbrush. Then I stuck in the dowels and clamped the sign pieces together. For the numbers, I didn't want to clamp these and potentially dent the plywood, so instead I alternated dots of wood glue and dots of hot glue to each number. Measuring carefully to make sure everything was spaced evenly, I pressed the numbers onto the sign. The hot glue holds the number in place while the wood glue sets to give it immediate grab as well as longevity. Outside, where I'll hang my sign, I stuck outdoor command hooks up since I didn't want to drill through my new vertical vinyl siding. If you have horizontal vinyl siding, they make special hooks you can put between the siding to hang things just like this. I put a link to them in the description of this video if you're interested. Now my house numbers are done. I am thrilled with how they turned out. If you are impressed, please share this video. Every share tells me you'd like to see more projects like this one. Let me know in the comments below if you would have preferred a vertical version of these house numbers or if you like what I came up with. Thank you for tuning in this week, and we will catch you next time on Welcome to the Woods.